Hey everybody, Rick here. The CyberWire's quarterly analyst call is on 15 December from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be joined by Merritt Bear from AWS and Ben Yellen from our own Caveat podcast to discuss the biggest stories from the past 90 days. Now, normally, we limit attendance to pro subscribers, but since it's the holidays, we are allowing the general public to join. You're welcome, and happy holidays. Details at thecyberwire.com.
Funding for this CyberWire podcast is made possible in part by LastPass. LastPass is an award-winning security solution that helps millions of individuals in over 70,000 organizations navigate their online lives easily and securely. Businesses can maximize productivity while still maintaining effortless, strong security with LastPass. LastPass can minimize risk and give your IT team a breakthrough integrated single sign-on, password management, and multi-factor authentication solution. Tracking OceanLotus, U.S. advisory warns of cyber threats active against schools trying to deliver distance learning. Adrozek joins credential-harvesting and adware. Mount Locker's criminal affiliate program. The FCC takes action against Chinese companies deemed security risks. Predictions and holiday advice. Johannes Ulrich from the SANS Technology Institute wonders what's in your clipboard. Our guest is Nina Jankowicz from the Wilson Center on her new book, How to Lose the Information War, Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict, and internship opportunities at CISA. From the CyberWire studios at Data Tribe, I'm Dave Bittner with your CyberWire summary for Friday, December 11th, 2020. Reuters reports that Facebook has associated the Vietnamese threat actor OceanLotus, APT-32, to a company in Ho Chi Minh City, CyberOne Group. CyberOne Group said on their now-suspended Facebook page, "We are not OceanLotus. It's a mistake." Vietnam's foreign ministry hasn't responded to inquiries from Reuters, but Hanoi has in the past denied any connection with or responsibility for OceanLotus. The attribution is unusual in its unambiguous association of a cyber espionage group with a contractor. Facebook, which has been squabbling with the government of Vietnam over content control, declined to give a detailed account of its evidence, saying that doing so would impair its ability to track OceanLotus in the future. A joint cybersecurity advisory from the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the FBI, and the multi-state ISAC yesterday warned that cyber attacks on schools have become increasingly widespread as kindergarten through 12 systems attempt remote instruction during the pandemic. The advisory singles out ransomware, with Ryuk, Maze, Nephilim, AKO, and Sodinokibi being among the most commonly observed strains. Trojans, especially Zeus and Schleyer, distributed denial of service attacks, often by DDoS for hire gangs, and video conference disruptions as the most prevalent threats. The agencies urge schools to follow a familiar set of best practices to help secure themselves as the pandemic continues to stress their systems, and teachers and staff and students and the families of all these. Microsoft 365 Defender research team has released a study of Adrozek, browser-modifying malware that affects most, if not all, major browsers. The researchers say that Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Yandex Browser, and Mozilla Firefox are all subject to modification. It's adware. Quote, Adrozek adds browser extensions, modifies a specific DLL per target browser, and changes browser settings to insert additional unauthorized ads into web pages, often on top of legitimate ads from certain engines. Microsoft 365 says, adding that the intended effect is for users searching for certain keywords to inadvertently click on these malware-inserted ads, which lead to affiliate pages. The attackers earn through affiliate advertising programs, which pay by the amount of traffic referred to sponsored affiliate pages. End quote. Adrozek is usually distributed as a drive-by download. It modifies browser settings, including security settings. Like most forms of adware, Adrozek gets revenue from the referrals it generates. That's normally considered a fairly low-grade threat, obnoxious and profligate of resources, but not really a high-end, high-risk threat. But in Adrozek's case, the adware also steals credentials, and that's a serious matter indeed. So it seems that adware is following the path ransomware took. The original crime continues and is then joined by additional malignant functionality. If this becomes a trend, and there's no reason to think it won't, adware may increasingly be accompanied by credential harvesting, in the way the ransomware is now routinely accompanied by information theft as well as data encryption. Researchers at BlackBerry are describing the latest ransomware as a service development. Mount Locker ransomware combines traditional encryption with data theft to add more heft to the extortion and is being run in an affiliate campaign. The researchers describe it as simple, lightweight, and efficient ransomware. The operators work quickly against their targets, and they appear to be gaining more criminal market share. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission yesterday took 2 actions against Chinese companies. The first requires carriers receiving federal funds to remove and replace equipment that poses a security risk. The second begins the process of revoking China Telecom's authorization to operate in the U.S. As you might expect, we've been receiving a lot of notes on the pandemic's opportunities for bad actors, common sense about shopping securely during the holidays, and some CISA internship opportunities. And to summarize what the social engineers are going to do, it's like this. They'll take you to a high place, show you all the kingdoms of the earth, and so on. That's the kind of FOMAs being tried before. Don't let it work on you either. That unbelievable offer of a stupendous deal if you work as a secret shopper? It may look like a beacon of light, but trust us, it's coming from a very dark place. So beyond being taken to a high place, expect more COVID-19 vaccine scams and more criminal collaboration. Checkpoint finds that malign activity keyed to the pandemic is assuming 3 general forms: cyber espionage directed at researchers and pharmaceutical companies engaged in vaccine development, phishing and waterholing domains with a COVID-19 theme, and finally, barefaced scams hawking bogus treatments. Proofpoint, for its part, foresees more ransomware hitting cloud repositories, the continuing threat of social engineering, a relative abatement but not disappearance of business email compromise, and growing collaboration among criminal groups. The winter holidays are upon us. Hanukkah began yesterday evening and will end next Friday evening. Christmas is just 2 weeks away, so last-minute shoppers are finding time closing in on them. RiskIQ has published its holiday e-commerce blacklist threat report for 2020. The size of the opportunity would seem to explain why the threat is so active this time of year. RiskIQ says that 30% of all retail sales occur between Black Friday and Christmas, that there's a 35% rise predicted in U.S. e-commerce sales compared to last year, probably reinforced by pandemic-driven social isolation, and that 83% of shoppers will spend 50% of their budget online. Finally, it's neither a trend nor a holiday security story, but since applications close in early January, this is a seasonal story. Students interested in an internship at the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency may wish to explore some recently announced opportunities. The agency is offering student trainee positions in IT management in several pay ranges. You'll find links to the job announcements, which are too long to speak here, in today's CyberWire Daily News Briefing. You can find that on our website, thecyberwire.com. The jobs are open to high school students, undergraduates, and grad students. And a tip of the hat to the folks over at Cat's Eye who tipped us off to the opportunity. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. Email is still the #1 attack vector the bad guys use, with a whopping 91% of cyber attacks beginning with phishing. But email hacking is much more than phishing and launching malware. Find out how to protect your organization in an on-demand webinar by Roger A. Grimes, KnowBe4's data-driven defense evangelist. Roger walks you through 10 incredible ways you can be hacked by email and how to stop the bad guys. And he also shares a hacking demo by KnowBe4's Chief Hacking Officer, Kevin Mitnick. So check out the 10 incredible ways where you'll learn how silent malware launch, remote password hash capture, and rogue rules work, why rogue documents, establishing fake relationships, and compromising a user's ethics are so effective, details behind clickjacking and web beacons, and how to defend against all of these. Go to knowbe4.com/10ways and watch the webinar. That's knowbe4.com/1 and 0 WAYS. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. My guest today is Nina Jankowicz, Disinformation Fellow and former Fulbright Clinton Public Policy Fellow from the Wilson Center. Her new book is titled How to Lose the Information War: Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict.
I was living in Ukraine in 2016 and 2017 when the U.S. election was happening and all the revelations about Russian interference in the election came to light. And I was working as a strategic communications advisor to the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine under the auspices of a Fulbright Fellowship. And being there basically on the front lines of the information war, Ukraine has been dealing with this stuff more in a concentrated way since 2014 and 2013 when the Euromaidan revolution began and Russia illegally annexed the Crimean Peninsula and invaded Eastern Ukraine, the Donbass. So they're very familiar with these tactics, as are a lot of other Central and Eastern European nations in the Baltic states, places like Poland, the Czech Republic. And I just felt that, watching the U.S. response, which was really categorized by a lot of hubris. It was a lot of, how could this have happened to us when things like this had been happening in Central and Eastern Europe for the past 10 to 15 years, I really felt that there was a lot that we, the United States, could learn from our allies in Central and Eastern Europe. And that's what the book looks at. 5 different Central and Eastern European countries: Estonia, the Republic of Georgia, Ukraine, Czech Republic, and Poland, and how they responded to the threat of Russian disinformation and increasingly to the threat of domestic disinformation as well.
Well, take us through what you've outlined here. I mean, what were some of the key ways that these nations dealt with this issue of Russian information operations?
So one of the most important things is that they all recognize that it's a problem, which I don't think that we can say for the United States, frankly. I mean, I did a hearing a couple weeks ago for the House Intelligence Committee, and only the Democrats showed up. It was a hearing on disinformation and conspiracy theories ahead of the election, and the Republicans just did not deign to make an appearance. And that's very saddening to me because I've briefed Republicans on the Hill before. They care about these issues, but it has become so politicized to even talk about disinformation, particularly in the context of Russia. And that leaves us vulnerable, frankly. Over the past 4 years, we've done very little to raise the costs for actors like Russia who are using disinformation to achieve their policy goals, to affect and influence our political conversations. And the fact that we're allowing it to be politicized and not even addressing the lowest hanging fruit in terms of dealing with the problem, like transparency around political ads and mandating that through Congress, just shows how difficult this problem is to solve when you don't recognize that it's a problem.
Are you optimistic? Do you think we have a chance at getting control over this to the point where it's not the issue that it is today?
It would be hard for me to get out of bed in the morning if I didn't think we could do something about it. Mm-hmm. I do think that, there are a lot of things that we haven't even entertained yet. Over the past 4 years, we really have not seen a good faith effort by the U.S. government to tackle this problem. We have seen parts of the U.S. government dealing with it, in particular, the folks at the Department of Homeland Security, Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency have done some really valiant work, but they're a small team and they're underfunded. There are other similar teams across the government. If we had a united strategy that was bringing together the best brains in, Russia policy, cyber policy, strategic communications in a node in the federal government, I'd feel a lot better. But as it is right now, we don't have that sort of joined up policy. That's a problem. The politicization of this issue, as I mentioned before, remains an impediment to creating policy at the congressional level. And we've not seen really any sort of consensus building in the cross-sector environment. So either between public-private partnership with the social media platforms or bringing in civil society organizations as well who are looking out for things like rights to free speech and human rights online. I think there are so many smart people who are working on these issues in the United States that, yes, we can absolutely make a dent. But the reality is that we have been tardy and our responses have been in the international realm tertiary to a lot of what our allies is doing. We are absolutely falling behind and in some cases abdicating our responsibility to the rest of the world as the place that hosts these platforms where so much disinformation spreads to do something about this. So I think the clock is ticking and hopefully we don't tarry too much longer because this is an issue that is getting more concerning by the day.
Our thanks to Nina Jankowicz for joining us. The book is titled How to Lose the Information War: Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict. Don't forget we have extended versions of many of our CyberWire interviews as part of CyberWire Pro. You can find out more about that on our website, thecyberwire.com. It's time to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, Recorded Future. If you haven't already done so, take a look at Recorded Future's Cyber Daily. We look at it. The CyberWire staff subscribes and consults it daily. The web is rich with indicators and warnings, but it's nearly impossible to collect them by eyeballing the internet yourself, no matter how many analysts you might have on staff, and we're betting that however many you haven't got enough. Recorded Future does the hard work for you by automatically collecting and organizing the entire web to identify new vulnerabilities and emerging threat indicators. Sign up for the Cyber Daily email to get the top trending technical indicators crossing the web. Cyber news, targeted industries, threat actors, exploited vulnerabilities, malware, and suspicious IP addresses. Subscribe today and stay ahead of the cyber attacks. Go to recordedfuture.com/cyberwire to subscribe for free threat intelligence updates from Recorded Future. And we thank Recorded Future for sponsoring our show. And joining me once again is Johannes Ulrich. He is the Dean of Research at the SANS Technology Institute and also the host of the ISC Stormcast podcast. Johannes, it's great to have you back. Today we are talking about clipboards, and I have to admit that I am a bit of a clipboard nerd in that I use a clipboard manager and it has greatly enhanced my lifestyle. So I'm very interested to hear that you have set your sights on some issues with clipboards. What are you going to teach me today?
Yeah, that's really something our handler, Rob Van Brink here, has researched in detail. And that's, malware is actually going after your clipboard because you have a lot of interesting things in your clipboard. It may be passwords that you copy-pasted from a password manager. It may be an account number. For example, there is malware that goes after crypto coin addresses and such that you may copy-paste because they're way too long to type them directly. And there are now a couple ways how software is trying to prevent some of these attacks. For example, some password managers, they'll try to clear the clipboard after you copy the password. So you copy the password, you paste in your browser, then the password manager deletes or erases that password from the clipboard, which may or may not work actually. And you're a clipboard nerd. I'm not sure if you enable that clipboard history feature, which sort of gets a little bit in the way there. Because clipboard history means, that cleared password is now just being added instead of overriding the password that you have. So
it's a handy database. Handy database to all the keys to my kingdom.
Exactly. And malware has certainly figured it out. Now, from a defensive point of view, you can, of course, monitor what software is accessing the clipboard. And iOS, Apple's operating system, has taken a little bit of the lead here. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but in iOS 14, the latest version of iOS, you'll get a little alert whenever some software is accessing your clipboard. Actually, I think it was LinkedIn or a couple other piece of software. They sort of got into trouble for doing just that. They sort of monitor your clipboard, just like malware does.
Right.
Now, on other platforms like Windows and such, of course, we don't have it in the operating system like this. But Microsoft's Sysmon tool actually just recently added a feature that will also monitor what software is using your clipboard. And the nice thing with Sysmon is a tool that you can install on your Windows systems, and you can tell it to report back to your security monitoring console and such what's happening on the system. Now, you better set up some decent rules as you're not getting flooded with alerts, but you can basically have it alert you centrally, like at the Security Operations Center. Hey, there's this workstation where some software is doing weird stuff with the clipboard.
I see. That's interesting. The clipboard manager I use in Mac OS, for example, you can disallow certain things from being put in the history. So you can say, don't anything that comes from my password manager. Let's leave that be.
Yeah, that's a real neat feature. Actually, I was just the other day sort of getting annoyed at that feature on the MySQL database. It does not save any command that contains the word password in the history. And, as a Unix nerd, always, doing your cursor up, you rather go 20 lines back in your history than typing ls. But all of the lines that contain the word password, and this was like a database where I tracked some SH passwords that we had from our honeypots, so that term came up a lot. It was a little bit annoying, but yes, so that's the feature you're looking for. You want to kind of limit what data is being sent to your clipboard. I don't say avoid it. You can't really avoid it because you want to have these complex passwords, so you often do have to copy-paste them.
Right. And isn't it fascinating how it's that balance, between convenience and security, right? I mean, that's the age-old problem we've got here.
You just have a simple password, put it on a post-it, and you don't have that problem.
Just stick it to the bottom of your keyboard. I don't understand what the problem is. Yeah. All right. Johannes Ulrich, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of our sponsors for making the CyberWire possible, especially our supporting sponsor, Proofpoint's Observe It, the leading people-centric insider threat management solution. Learn more at observeit.com. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. And for professionals and cybersecurity leaders who want to stay abreast of this rapidly evolving field, sign up for CyberWire Pro. It'll save you time and keep you informed. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. Listen for us on your Alexa smart speaker, too. Be sure to check out our Research Saturday program this weekend, my interview with Craig Williams and Matt Olney from Cisco Talos on their NotPetya and Olympic destroyer research. It's a good one. That's Research Saturday. Check it out. The CyberWire podcast is proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. Our amazing CyberWire team is Elliot Peltzman, Haru Prakash, Stefan Vaziri, Kelsey Bond, Tim Nodar, Joe Kerrigan, Carol Terrio, Ben Yellen, Nick Valecki, Gina Johnson, Bennett Moe, Chris Russell, John Petrick, Jennifer Iben, Rick Howard, Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. See you here next week. We all know 2020 has been a difficult year for many reasons. None of us want to add hacking victim to that list. Between working from home, virtual schooling, and online shopping, hacking is unfortunately at an all-time high. Protect yourself, your family, and your work with the Home Network Security device from Trend Micro. The device easily plugs into your home's router so it can scan your home network for threats. It prevents intrusions, blocks hacking attempts, and protects your home's privacy from unwanted cyber intruders. Home Network Security also provides you with an easy-to-use app so you can monitor activity on your devices, block malicious sites, or add parental controls that limit Wi-Fi usage. Now more than ever, a device like this is a necessity in every home, so you're protected. Go to trendmicro.com now and use code CyberWire20 and save $20 on your home network security device purchase today. And we thank Trend Micro for sponsoring our show.